Because it's a body car, we thought we're going to make it really mean. Good morning, everyone. My name is Chip, and I'm the Managing Director of Alficina and P&K Thornton. And today I'm going to talk about the incredible Maserati Merak Restomod. Why do I say that? Because we're going to do something really special to it. We're going to combine modern technology with the unusual and very special looks of the 1975 Maserati Merak. I appreciate there's been a bit of a gap in between our episodes, but we're back here to stay. We're going to do a lot more videos coming up next, and this is the first one in a great series on the Maserati Merak Restomod. Why we're doing it? Because it's a really special car with a very interesting history. It actually featured in a film in the 90s. It was a kids film. Back in the day, the car was red, the Maserati was red, and it was actually the villain's car, which makes it even more exciting for us. Because it's a body car, we thought we're going to make it really mean. And that what I mean by that is putting all the technology onto it, make it fast, reliable, but also very efficient. So the Maserati Merak, at the time in the 70s, early 70s, it took a lot of influence from Citroën, which is the French manufacturer that at the time owned Maserati. So what the idea was with the Merak is that it relates to the Bora, which is its larger and more powerful twin version, while the Merak was more a lower end or mid-end competitor for the Ferrari 308 GT4 and the Lamborghini Huracan. The Merak used a V6 engine, a 3-liter V6 engine that was borrowed in terms of technology from Citroën, but he also used the always problematic hydraulic system. Therefore, the brakes were hydraulically activated, and so were the pop-up headlights, but also the clutch. And if you can think about it, in modern terms, a hydraulic operated brake system, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. The pedal is either very hard, it's either on or off, and there's no way you can modulate the pedal. And it's the same with the pop-up headlights. If there's a hydraulic leak, that means that you have no headlights or you have no brakes, which makes the car not operating. So what we're going to do? Well, we will make it all conventional. We'll move more towards conventional brakes. The same for the headlights. We're looking to implement a system of rams, electrically activated rams, that will bring life into the headlights. We looked into what rams we're going to use, and they are actually physically the same size as the original one, so we're not going to change much in terms of how the rams go into place to lift the headlights, but they will be able to lift 25 kilos each. Therefore, the housing of the headlight, but also the actual headlight itself, and they're going to do it very quickly. If before the headlights with the hydraulic system were popping up in 4 seconds, making it impossible to flash anybody out of the way or flash anyone in or flash the headlights, now with the electric rams, we're looking to do that in under 1 second. So it's going to be very, very quick, and it should work as intended. So a lot of problems that this car generated and technology in itself generated, which goes back to the French. We're not going to call them les incompetents, but there was certainly no je ne sais quoi about this car. One of the first aspects that we're going to look at are the brakes. So we're going to take the hydraulic system and put it right into the bin, and we're going to introduce the conventional system with servo and master cylinders, which will allow you to moderate the brakes, therefore drive the car as you should. Another aspect that we're going to improve is introduce the air conditioning. The car runs quite hot from standard, and he would benefit from air conditioning, which it will be a really good addition to the car. The other aspect is the wiring. We are going to move to CAN bus and an ECU for the fuel injection. So we're going to take the carburetors as well, replace it completely with fuel injection and ECU. We are a bit of a specialist in converting classic cars to more modern wiring using direct connectors and the CAN bus system, which makes the gauges work digitally, so you get accurate information from the ECU. 1970s design is quite angular. It is an Italian car and with some French influence. Therefore, there is quite a bit of quirkiness in it. There's a few elements like the flying buttresses that are now missing, and it kind of, from this angle, it kind of looks like a pickup truck, which is very unusual. So a very flat over the engine panel. That it makes it look very unusual, but in reality it was a very powerful 200 brake light sports car. We have currently removed the engine and all the sub-assemblies that are around the engine, and the idea is that we are going to rebuild the original engine. We love using the original engine. If possible, we will improve the performance of the engine by increasing compression, just trying to get a bit more power out of it, and also trying to get towards the Maserati SS. In addition to the engine, we're also looking at the gearbox. There's not much we can do with the original gearbox other than rebuild it to perfection, but what we can do is introduce an LSD, and it will give us a bit more safety, and also it will increase drivability of the car. What we want to do really with the engine bay, originally it was very busy, very cluttered with wiring, pipe work. We're gonna tidy it up, gut it all out, tidy up, do a bit of welding, because some of the subframes, they suffered through the years from the elements being exposed so much. So we're gonna correct the metal, then it's correcting, then we're gonna clean everything up and start fresh. Therefore, we removed the two fuel tanks that are on the sides of the engine bay, which was a bit of a job to remove them. They've been there for quite a while. They've now been removed, and we're looking to clean it all up, paint the engine bay, and then build from there. In terms of the fuel injection that we referred to earlier, we went into a lot of details, and combined with our trials and tested on the rolling road to match the ECU, we decided to use the Genevieve throttle bodies, part of their Heritage series, which previously they worked very well for us. And we're going to use an ECU Master ECU, but also power boxes, also from ECU Master. We did a whole scheme of all the digital inputs and outputs that will come into the ECU, and in the end we opted for two power boxes and combined with a single ECU, which will also be combined with digital gauges. We are going to use the original gauges, so the original fascias and the actual casing of the gauge, while the components, everything that is inside the gauge, will be removed and converted to digital. So all the information will be coming straight from the ECU. Also, in regards to the fuel injection, we are going to modify how the leads come towards from the coil. We are going, because of the fuel injection and ECU, we are going to have a coil to power up the system, and the routing of them will be coming directly from the rear firewall. While at the front, we have to integrate the air conditioning unit into the front firewall. It has quite a simple framework at the front, which we will be able to adapt and integrate the air conditioning box into it, but there will be some fabrication required at the front and at the back as well, and some of it is corrective maintenance of the metal, but some of them is bracketry and fabrication for things like the pedal box, and also to integrate the air conditioning. So a lot of cool things will happen. We're trying to keep the original firewall, engine, gearbox, back axle, so keep the originality, the spirit of the car, the 90s, 70s Italian sports car, while introducing a lot of modern technology that will make the car drive better but also be a lot more reliable. 1970s Italian cars, they're not the most ergonomic vehicles. Sometimes the pedals were off center and they were not quite in the position that you're looking to find them. And what we're trying to do is make that perfect, make it normal, but also predictable. With a tilt and pedal box that we have here, we're looking to create that perfect driving experience. The driver will be able to heel and toe and make use of the nice gearbox. Everything should flow nicely into place, and where the driver will be pushing on speed on the traditional Nottingham back roads, B roads, that everything is in the right place. So that's what we're looking to do here. We have to do a bit of fabrication to make sure that the floor can take this. There's a bit more strain in the very thin Italian metal, and with the new pedal box we're looking to take this away and make it perfect, so we can so this car can be driven with maximum effect. We are transforming the dashboard and also the interior. So in terms of color, the interior is going from the original green, which was not to everyone's taste, to a more traditional black interior, but also we will be using digital gauges that will be perfectly accurate, taking the information from the ECU. At the rear of the cockpit, we see originally the car was a 2+2. The Merak came with rear seats which were very small, only for children or particularly tiny adults. Also to note that the two fuel tanks, which they are sizable, they're also behind the rear seats, so it's better not to know about that. We're now into our middle bay unit, where, as you can see, we have bagged and tagged a lot of the Maserati parts. Everything has been taken off from the car carefully, because we are due to restore some of these parts and then put them back to the car. Some of them, like the brakes, for example, these are the front calipers, as you can see, with the hydraulic fittings. We're not going to use this, so they will go back to the owner of the car to keep. With our global workshop system, we're able to document the entire restoration process from start to finish, including the removal of the parts. We're also able to keep a detailed history of each part's restoration process. For example, let's talk about the brake calipers. If we are to take these parts, these brake calipers apart, we will be able to keep photos or videos of the findings and how we restore this particular part. And the big advantage of this is that the owner of the car is able to keep track of what's going on, ask any questions, anything relevant, any information. Sometimes we get information from the owner of the car in regards to the history of them, and put everything together in one app, which is Global Workshop, to be able to keep up to date with the restoration from anywhere around the world. This can be accessed from anywhere in the UK or internationally. We have clients that use it from very far afield, and it keeps everybody on the same page. So it's a fantastic way of digitalizing all this information in regards to the restoration of a car like this. To conclude, a very rare Maserati Merak, only 36 of these are on the UK roads. We are going to transform the car, a very exciting build with a lot of modern technology applied to this phenomenal 1970s classic Italian sports car. I hope you enjoy this. This is the first episode on this particular car. There will be several others as we continue to build. We're aiming to have the car on the road this summer, so things will move pretty quickly from here. Everything is in motion. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions on the build, anything that we can answer for, or if we can help you with anything, please comment below. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you on to the next episode.